October 1942. Dawn breaks over the misty skies of northern Italy. The air is cold and thin, carrying the metallic scent of fuel and oil. In the distance, a formation of Luftwaffe fighters slices through the clouds, their sleek Messerschmitts cutting the morning silence. On the horizon, a new silhouette appears, bulky, almost comical to German eyes. The P-47 Thunderbolt. At first, the Luftwaffe pilots laugh. "Jug," they mutter. Its wide fuselage and stubby wings seem clumsy, heavy, slow. They underestimate it. They have no idea that in seconds, this so-called lumbering American plane will unleash a hailstorm of 8.50 caliber machine guns, ripping through formations, tearing confidence from the enemy sky. Inside the cockpit, the American pilot adjusts his oxygen mask, eyes scanning the horizon. Engines roar, vibrating through the frame. Every lever, every instrument is checked. The Thunderbolt's turbo-supercharged engine hums with raw power. Below, the valley stretches in shadows and silver light, the ground a patchwork of fields, rivers, and villages unaware of the battle about to unfold above them. This is the moment when mockery turns to respect, when laughter dies in the clouds, and the P-47 proves its deadly truth. By 1942, the skies over Europe were a crucible of strategy, technology, and human courage. The Luftwaffe, having dominated the early years of the war, patrolled from France to the Balkans with confidence. German pilots, honed by combat over Poland, France, and Britain, were considered some of the most skilled in the world. The air war had become a deadly dance of speed, altitude, and firepower. Across the Channel, the United States Army Air Forces had entered the European theater with a steep learning curve. American bombers like the B-17 Flying Fortress could reach deep into enemy territory, but they were vulnerable to the faster, more maneuverable Luftwaffe fighters. Early missions revealed that escort fighters like the P-38 Lightning and P-40 Warhawk were inadequate for sustained high-altitude escort. Bombers were being shot down in alarming numbers. Morale suffered. Confidence wavered. The need for a new aircraft was urgent. The Republic P-47 Thunderbolt, nicknamed Jug, emerged as a solution. Designed for high-altitude performance and long-range escort, it featured a massive radial engine, 8.50 caliber machine guns, and a rugged airframe that could absorb damage and return pilots safely. Pilots trained over England and Italy, learning to exploit the plane's strengths: speed in dives, energy retention in vertical maneuvers, and devastating firepower. Yet skepticism persisted. Even American pilots admitted the P-47 appeared ungainly. Its weight, nearly double that of a Messerschmitt Bf-109, seemed a liability. Luftwaffe intelligence dismissed it as a lumbering bomber escort, unlikely to match German agility. This misjudgment would prove fatal. Across the continent, the Allied strategy was evolving. The 8th Air Force was tasked with escorting bombers deep into the Reich. Precision strikes on factories, oil refineries, and rail networks were central to crippling Germany's war production. American leadership understood that escort fighters were no longer optional. They were essential. P-47s became the spearhead of this strategy. In training fields of England, pilots adjusted to the Thunderbolt's weight and controls. They practiced gunnery on towed targets, executed high-speed dives, and coordinated formations for maximum defensive coverage. Flight instructors emphasized endurance. The P-47's robust design allowed sustained combat at high altitudes, even when under fire. Pilots learned that its radial engine, less vulnerable than liquid-cooled engines, could absorb hits that would cripple other aircraft. The Luftwaffe, confident in its superior tactics and numbers, remained largely unaware of the full potential of the P-47. German pilots often joked about its bulk, underestimating the combination of firepower, speed, and resilience that awaited them. Intelligence reports described it as a slow American escort, not realizing that within weeks, this misjudgment would cost lives and turn mockery into fear. As American Thunderbolts arrived over the skies of Italy and northern France, Initial sorties focused on bomber escort. Early engagements revealed the truth. P-47s could dive faster than their German counterparts, fire devastating bursts from 8.50 caliber guns, and absorb hits that would down other fighters. Pilots began reporting surprise at their own effectiveness. German formations, expecting easy prey, found themselves under a relentless barrage, forced to break and scatter. The stage was set. The P-47, laughed at for its appearance, was about to demonstrate a deadly combination of technology, pilot skill, and tactical innovation. The first encounters would shock the Luftwaffe, reshaping air strategy and changing the balance of power in the European skies. Even as pilots climbed into cockpits and Luftwaffe officers prepared for another routine mission, none could anticipate the transformation that was about to unfold. The mockery of the jug would soon turn to astonishment, a turning point that marked the beginning of the P-47's legendary reputation. By late 1942, the P-47 Thunderbolt had begun reaching operational units in England and Italy. American pilots, many still inexperienced with long-range European combat, faced a steep learning curve. These early missions were as much about survival as effectiveness. Escorting bombers through dense flak zones, dodging enemy fighters, and navigating unfamiliar skies required both precision and courage. The Thunderbolt's design revealed its advantages almost immediately. Its radial engine tolerated ground fire that would cripple other fighters. In dives, its weight became an asset, allowing pilots to generate speeds unmatched by most Luftwaffe aircraft. Its 8.50 caliber machine guns, mounted along the wings, unleashed a concentrated hail of bullets capable of shredding enemy formations. American pilots learned to exploit these strengths, engaging in boom and zoom tactics, diving from high altitude to strike, then climbing back to preserve energy. Early encounters with the Luftwaffe were telling. German pilots, conditioned to superior agility, initially underestimated the P-47. Many called it clumsy, slow, even laughable. Yet within seconds of engagement, they discovered that speed alone was insufficient against a plane that combined raw firepower with durability. Entire formations of Messerschmitt Bf 109s and Focke-Wulf FW 190s found themselves under relentless attack, forced to retreat from battles they expected to dominate. The P-47 was deployed in multiple theaters. In Italy, pilots escorted bombers targeting factories and rail yards, while performing strafing runs on enemy convoys. In England, missions over France and the Low Countries tested the aircraft's range and endurance. Each sortie provided critical lessons. The Thunderbolt could absorb punishment, hit back with devastating fire, and return to base, a rare combination in 1942 air warfare. Logistical and operational challenges remained. The P-47 required long runways and careful maintenance. Its radial engine, though durable, demanded precise attention. Crews learned to manage fuel carefully, coordinate formation flying, and adjust tactics for altitude and weather. Pilots relied on both instinct and training, understanding that a single error over enemy territory could be fatal. Meanwhile, German intelligence gradually realized the Thunderbolt was more than a lumbering escort. Reports described increasing Allied successes in long-range missions. Luftwaffe leadership began noting unusual resilience and firepower. Pilots returned with tales of thick-skinned American planes that could not be easily outmaneuvered, upsetting the established assumptions about air superiority. The initial laughter at the P-47 was giving way to concern. The psychological component of the P-47's introduction cannot be overstated. American aircrews gained confidence as they saw the aircraft withstand hits and deliver punishment. German pilots, once dismissive, grew wary. This shift affected tactics, forcing the Luftwaffe to reconsider formation strategies, escort support, and engagement protocols. A plane once mocked had begun altering the mindset of both sides. By early 1943, the P-47 was no longer merely an escort fighter. It was a game changer. Its presence enabled deeper penetration of German defenses, improved bomber survival rates, and strengthened American resolve. The Thunderbolt's combination of speed, firepower, and ruggedness transformed European air operations, setting the stage for the aerial duels that would define the coming year. The arrival of the P-47 in combat zones also highlighted broader strategic themes: innovation under pressure, the interplay of technology and human skill, and the importance of morale and perception in warfare. The plane that had been laughed at in Luftwaffe circles was now demanding respect. As the Allies prepared for their next wave of operations over occupied Europe, the first decisive confrontations loomed. German pilots would soon face the P-47 in full force, discovering that what they once mocked could devastate formations, shatter confidence, and redefine the skies. For the pilots of the P-47, every mission was a test of nerve and skill. The cockpit was a confined, vibrating capsule, filled with the roar of the turbo-supercharged radial engine and the faint scent of oil and fuel. Eyes scanned the sky constantly, anticipating enemy fighters that could appear without warning. Each pilot carried the weight of responsibility, protecting bombers, surviving, and ensuring that their aircraft returned intact. In early encounters over Italy and France, many pilots experienced disbelief at the plane's performance. One moment, they were under fire, weaving through tracer streams. The next, they found themselves diving past a stunned Luftwaffe formation, their 8.50 caliber guns unleashing devastating fire. Fear and exhilaration coexisted. The P-47's robustness gave them confidence. Even when the fuselage shook from near misses, the plane held steady, and the pilot knew, for the first time, they had a fighting chance. This human experience extended beyond fear. Comradeship was essential. Formation flying required trust, coordination, and split-second communication. Each pilot relied on the others, not only for tactical support, but also for psychological reinforcement. The Thunderbolt demanded focus, endurance, and resilience, forging pilots into a cohesive force that would challenge the Luftwaffe's dominance. The P-47's arrival altered the tactical calculus of air combat. German pilots initially attempted traditional dogfighting maneuvers, expecting to exploit agility. They were surprised. The Thunderbolt could dive faster than most Luftwaffe fighters, using gravity and engine power to gain energy in seconds. Once in a diving attack, pilots could fire a concentrated barrage from 8.50 caliber machine guns, then zoom back to high altitude before the enemy could respond. Escort missions became safer and more effective. Bombers' previously easy prey now had a shield of fast, durable aircraft capable of striking with lethal precision. P-47 pilots learned to coordinate attacks, using altitude, speed, and firepower in combination. Enemy fighters, unprepared for such aggressive tactics, were often forced to break formations or retreat, abandoning attacks on the bombers. The tactical advantage was compounded by the Thunderbolt's versatility. Not only could it engage enemy fighters, but it could perform strafing runs on ground targets, suppress flak. Observers on the ground later described the battle as unprecedented. German pilots, initially amused at the sight of the Jug, now faced disbelief. Entire squadrons are disrupted. Confidence erodes. The Luftwaffe had underestimated the combination of firepower, speed, and durability that the P-47 brought to the skies. The engagement is not without cost. Thunderbolts sustain damage. Some pilots return with bullet holes crisscrossing fuselage and wings. Others are forced to make emergency landings in friendly territory. Yet the balance has shifted. The mission proves that American air power can challenge the Luftwaffe in sustained, high-altitude combat, a revelation with strategic and psychological consequences. In Italy and southern France, similar encounters unfold over the following weeks. Each sortie reinforces the lesson. The P-47 is no longer merely an escort fighter. It is a weapon that commands respect, forces tactical adaptation, and reshapes air operations. For American pilots, morale soars. For German pilots, apprehension spreads. By mid-1943, These battles established the Thunderbolt's reputation. The aircraft's combination of speed, firepower, and ruggedness ensures that the Luftwaffe cannot dismiss it. Commanders on both sides begin adjusting strategy. The 8th Air Force refines bomber escort protocols, while German units analyze the threat, attempting to counter the once laughed-at plane that now dominates the sky. The human, technological, and tactical dimensions converge in these battles. Pilots experience the exhilaration of effective combat, the terror of near misses, and the satisfaction of survival. German pilots confront the shock of an adversary that defies prior assumptions. Leaders witness the emergence of a new tool that will influence missions for months to come. The stage is set for the Thunderbolt to claim full recognition. German laughter has been replaced by cautious vigilance. The first decisive encounters have demonstrated the aircraft's lethal potential. The skies over Europe, once dominated by Luftwaffe confidence, are now arenas where the P-47 dictates the tempo, challenges tactics, and exacts a heavy toll. American pilots prepare for the next wave of operations, aware that the coming missions will further test both their skill and the capabilities of the P-47. The Thunderbolt has proven itself, but the full measure of its impact on strategy, morale, and the air war itself is yet to unfold. Summer 1943. The European skies have become a proving ground for the P-47 Thunderbolt. American pilots, now experienced in long-range escort and tactical engagement, fly with a mixture of confidence and vigilance. Bomber formations stretch across the horizon, protected by the bulky but formidable Thunderbolts, engines roaring, machine guns primed. Over northern France, German fighters dive in pursuit of American bombers, expecting another routine engagement. The first wave of P-47s meets them with coordinated precision. Pilots execute boom-and-zoom attacks, diving from high altitude to strike, then climbing back to safety before the enemy can respond. The 8.50 caliber machine guns deliver a torrent of lead, tearing through enemy wings and fuselages. Tracer fire streaks across the sky, leaving smoking wreckage in its wake. German pilots, once dismissive, are caught off guard. Entire formations falter, forced to break apart under the relentless American assault. Experienced Luftwaffe commanders note the Thunderbolt's resilience. Planes that should have gone down return with heavy battle damage, their pilots unscathed. The shock is compounded by American tactical coordination. Wingmen cover each other flawlessly, turning engagements into controlled, devastating strikes. The tactical and psychological impact is immediate. Luftwaffe morale suffers as reports of losses multiply. Pilots begin to treat the Thunderbolt with a new respect, adjusting attack patterns and avoiding direct confrontation whenever possible. For American aircrews, the raids bolster confidence. They realize that the aircraft they once approached with caution can dominate the skies when handled with skill and precision. These engagements extend beyond single encounters. Across Italy, England, and occupied France, P-47s consistently demonstrate superiority in escort missions, ground attack operations, and aerial duels. German intelligence begins documenting the Thunderbolt's performance, revising prior assumptions that had dismissed it as bulky and slow. The nickname Jug evolves from mockery to begrudging acknowledgement of a lethal, resilient opponent. The strategic consequences are profound. Bomber losses decrease as P-47 escorts repel Luftwaffe fighters with devastating efficiency. Commanders in the 8th Air Force and 15th Air Force adjust tactics, relying on Thunderbolt for both protection and offensive capability. Ground attack missions further exploit the aircraft's ruggedness and firepower, supporting Allied advances and weakening German positions. In the cockpit, human skill remains central. Pilots experience exhilaration, fear, and the weight of responsibility in equal measure. Every engagement tests their judgment, reflexes, and endurance. Yet the aircraft itself, once underestimated, provides a tangible advantage, allowing pilots to execute complex maneuvers with confidence. The combination of technology, tactics, and human courage establishes the Thunderbolt as a dominant force. By late 1943, the P-47's reputation is firmly established. German pilots no longer laugh at the jug. They respect it, even fear it. The European air war is shifting. The Thunderbolt has not only protected bombers and inflicted losses, but it has altered Luftwaffe tactics, forced strategic recalibration, and changed the psychological landscape of aerial combat. This moment marks the turning point. The Thunderbolt, once a source of derision, has proven itself in combat repeatedly. Its pilots understand the balance of firepower and resilience, and commanders recognize its strategic significance. The skies over Europe are no longer unchallenged territory for the Luftwaffe. As American pilots return to base, engines smoking and planes scarred, the realization is clear. The P-47 Thunderbolt has arrived. German mockery has ended. Respect has been earned. And the next phase of the air war, with the Thunderbolt as a decisive instrument of Allied power, is ready to unfold. By the fall of 1943, the impact of the P-47 Thunderbolt on the European air war was undeniable. Its presence in the skies had altered both perception and reality. For the Luftwaffe, the initial amusement had transformed into respect and, in many cases, apprehension. German pilots now approached engagements with caution, often avoiding direct confrontation with the seemingly cumbersome American fighter that had repeatedly outperformed expectations. Bomber escort missions that had once been perilous now saw significant reductions in losses. The P-47's ability to dive, strike, and climb repeatedly allowed American formations to maintain cohesion, while inflicting substantial damage on enemy fighters. Reports from the 8th and 15th Air Forces documented Luftwaffe casualties mounting, with entire squadrons disrupted during encounters. The psychological blow was considerable. Pilots who had once anticipated easy victories now faced a plane that demanded skill, precision, and respect. The Thunderbolt's influence extended beyond aerial victories. Its rugged construction allowed it to survive situations that would have grounded other aircraft, returning damaged planes and pilots to base. This reliability reinforced morale among American aircrews. The knowledge that their aircraft could absorb hits and still fight encouraged aggressive tactics, further tipping the balance of power. Human courage, amplified by technological resilience, became a defining feature of Allied air operations. Ground attack operations added another dimension to the P-47's effectiveness. Strafing runs on supply lines, rail yards, and troop concentrations disrupted German logistics and slowed reinforcements. The combination of fighter escort and offensive ground operations demonstrated the Thunderbolt's versatility, proving that air power could directly influence the pace of the broader campaign. German commanders, forced to counter these new tactics, had to divert resources and rethink strategies, stretching their already strained forces across multiple fronts. The reputational shift was stark. What had begun as a plane laughed at by the enemy became a symbol of American ingenuity and determination. German pilots noted in after-action reports that the P-47 was difficult to outmaneuver and dangerously effective. This acknowledgement, grudging though it was, confirmed the Thunderbolt's emergence as a pivotal element in the air war over Europe. The cumulative effect of these missions reshaped the dynamics of aerial engagement. Strategic planners incorporated lessons learned from P-47 encounters into broader operational doctrines. Fighter groups optimized formation tactics, exploiting the Thunderbolt's strengths while minimizing vulnerabilities. Bomber missions achieved higher success rates, and the Allied air campaign gained momentum. As the skies cleared after another sortie, the tangible and psychological victories of the P-47 were apparent. American aircrews returned to their bases, aircraft scarred with bullet holes, engines smoking from sustained combat. They carried not only the evidence of their engagements, but a growing confidence, a belief that they could challenge and often dominate the Luftwaffe in sustained air battles. The Thunderbolt's arrival had altered the trajectory of the European air war. Enemy tactics were recalibrated, Allied morale strengthened, and the lessons of technology, human skill, and tactical innovation were firmly etched into operational practice. The first phase of the P-47's combat history had ended, but the long-term effects were just beginning to ripple across the theater. As 1943 drew to a close, the P-47 Thunderbolt had firmly established itself as a cornerstone of Allied air power. Its impact extended far beyond individual dogfights. The 8th and 15th Air Forces noted a clear decline in bomber losses on deep penetration rates. With reliable escorts in the skies, B-17s and B-24s could complete missions that had previously seemed perilous, striking industrial targets critical to the German war effort. The Luftwaffe, forced to confront this new reality, altered its tactics. Squadrons that had once relied on speed and agility now emphasized caution, grouping in larger formations to counter the concentrated firepower of the Thunderbolt. German intelligence began documenting the P-47 meticulously, analyzing its strengths and weaknesses. Yet no adjustment could fully negate the combination of durability, firepower, and pilot skill that defined the aircraft. Mockery had turned to strategic concern. On the ground, Allied leadership recognized the P-47's versatility. Beyond escort duties, Thunderbolts conducted ground attack operations, striking supply lines, railways, and convoys. These missions disrupted German logistics, slowing troop movements and weakening frontline resistance. The aircraft's rugged airframe allowed pilots to survive ground fire that would have downed other fighters, reinforcing its reputation as both lethal and resilient. The psychological impact on both sides was profound. American pilots gained confidence in their aircraft and their own abilities, knowing the Thunderbolt could withstand punishment and deliver devastating counterattacks. German pilots, once dismissive, approached engagements with caution and increasing respect, acknowledging that the air war had shifted. The P-47 had altered the balance of power in Europe, not only through destruction, but by influencing morale, decision-making, and strategic planning. The Thunderbolt's legacy extended into future operations. By supporting sustained bombing campaigns, escort missions, and ground attack sorties, it became a symbol of Allied adaptability and technological ingenuity. Its effectiveness demonstrated the value of robust design, concentrated firepower, and tactical innovation, lessons that would inform aircraft development and aerial strategy for the remainder of the war. As American pilots returned from another mission, engines smoking, wings scarred, the truth was clear. The aircraft they had flown, once underestimated, had become a decisive instrument of victory. German pilots had learned firsthand that underestimating the P-47 could be fatal. What began as laughter in the clouds had become respect. Respect earned in battle, proven through action, and recognized across the European theater. The stage was now set for reflection. The P-47 Thunderbolt had transformed the air war over Europe, illustrating the interplay of human skill, technological innovation, and tactical foresight. Its story was a testament to the impact of ingenuity and courage, a legacy that would endure long after the engines fell silent and the dogfights ended. The story of the P-47 Thunderbolt is more than a tale of speed, firepower, or rugged engineering. It is a story of underestimated potential, of human courage meeting technological ingenuity, and of the unforeseen ways in which a single aircraft could alter the course of a war. The Thunderbolt, once mocked as a clumsy jug, had proven that appearances could deceive, that substance often outweighed style, and that resilience in the skies could redefine the balance of power. In the hands of skilled pilots, the P-47 became an instrument of both protection and destruction. It safeguarded bombers that might otherwise have been lost, punished enemy fighters who had underestimated it, and disrupted supply lines that fed the German war machine. Its 8.50 caliber machine guns, combined with a durable airframe and powerful engine, created an aircraft that could endure punishment while delivering it in return. The result was not just tactical success, but strategic impact, a tangible shift in the European air war that reverberated across both sides of the conflict. Yet the Thunderbolt story is also a human story. Pilots experienced fear, exhilaration, and determination in equal measure.